Hey guys, how's it going? It's Danconia. Welcome back to the Overwatch League Roundup 2020 APAC Summer Showdown preview. So yesterday we took a look at the North American region ahead of the Summer Showdown, which kicks off later on today. But now we're going to take a look at APAC, which doesn't actually kick off until tomorrow, or tomorrow morning to be more precise, on July the 4th. Happy American Day, or whatever you want to call it. This region is obviously smaller. There's only 7 teams compared to the 13. That's why we don't have the extra day. And this region is incredibly close. It's incredibly competitive at the moment a lot of the time. And there are people taking wins off people that you don't expect them to take wins off of. And there are people taking maps that you don't expect them to take. And there are teams that are improving. And it's all getting rather close. It's a big old tussle in APAC right now. But there is one team that is definitely on top. So let's take a look at this then. The quarterfinals will take place on July the 4th, the Saturday, and they all start at 9 AM with our 7th seed Chengdu Hunters taking on our 2nd seed Guangzhou Charge. So Guangzhou Charge, they are unbeaten during June, but they've had some very close matches, which meant they didn't get the top seed and they lost out to the Shanghai Dragons, who were also unbeaten this month, but had some pretty comprehensive victories getting there in the first place. So Guangzhou Charge are not top seed, and they were top seed in May Melee. And in the May Melee, they lost very narrowly to the Super Saiyan Seoul Dynasty when they turned it on during that tournament. And this time, they should be able to get a win on the board. They shouldn't be able to fall to the Chengdu Hunters. Now, Chengdu Hunters have had a torrid June. They have not won a match. They have looked all over the place in some matches. Against London, especially in the last match, they looked absolutely mentally boomed. Sometimes they haven't known what to do. Their ult usage has been all over the place. They are definitely the worst team in APAC. So the Guangzhou Charge should get a victory here. I would hope they will get a 3-1 or 3-0 victory. But the little caveat to put on this is during the May Melee, which Chengdu Hunters also came into as one of the bottom seeds, they actually took the New York Excelsior really close back then, and it was a 3-2 for the Excelsior. So, with the Chengdu Hunters only preparing for this map, or this match I should say, it is possible that the Chengdu Hunters take the Charge very close. And the Charge haven't been known at the moment to really sweep games. They played the Chengdu Hunters in the regular matches this June, and it was a 3-1. They were unable to get the comprehensive sweep of that Chengdu Hunters squad that other teams like London Spitfire and Seoul Dynasty had been able to do. So it's interesting that, and it's why we always leave a little caveat with the Guangzhou Charge. But they should have too much quality for Chengdu Hunters to compete here, and unfortunately it's probably going to be a winless tournament once again for the Chengdu Hunters. But moving on, and after this, at 11 AM, we will see the 4th seed versus the 5th seed. Now, in APAC, the 4th seed is a weird one, because it tells you that, well, you're one of the better seeds, right? So you're of the group that gets to pick their opponents, but unfortunately you're the last in that, so you don't actually get to pick your opponents because everyone's picked before you and you're left with whatever's left over. And that's the story of the London Spitfire here being 4th seed. Now, we didn't expect the London Spitfire to be 4th seed, did we? They've had a very good month where they've managed to beat the Hangzhou Spark in very convincing fashion. They beat the Chengdu Hunters in convincing fashion, looked good against an NYXL squad that they lost to 3-1, and got swept by the Dragons 3-0. So it's been a very interesting month for the Spitfire where they've looked to improve, and they're going up against the Seoul Dynasty. The Seoul Dynasty side who have only won against Chengdu this month, and again have looked very shaky during the regular season. And Seoul, it's weird because we've had the hero pool changes. Obviously there's no hero pools during these tournaments, but we had no hero pools last week. And hero pools for a long time have been a thing we've been saying that have been a handicap for Seoul during the regular season. But last week they didn't have any hero pools and they still struggled. So it's weird, the Seoul Dynasty, but in this match, I expect the Seoul Dynasty to turn up like they did in the May Melee, which is unfortunate for the London Spitfire. I think the London Spitfire will take them close. I would hope they would, considering their better performances in recent times. If I was to go for a scoreline here, I would say 3-1 to the Seoul Dynasty. Now, a lot of people are backing London for this one, but I just can't get past the thing of Seoul turning it on in knockout situations. And I think that's going to be a trait for the Seoul Dynasty. I really, really do. And they have pedigree. Go back to London in the inaugural season. But yeah, I think Seoul Dynasty will get past London here. But it doesn't get any easier for whoever wins that match. But at 1 PM, we will see the Hangzhou Spark taking on the New York Excelsior. This is the 3rd seed New York versus the 6th seed Hangzhou Spark. Now, we expected Hangzhou Spark to be a higher seed than this, considering they played London Spitfire, but they got absolutely wiped. And they also got wiped by Shanghai in the last round of fixtures in week 21. Both of them were 3-0s for their opponents, and so Hangzhou find themselves second to last seed in this division, which is very weird considering they looked so good the week previous in week 20, and they've made these additions: Padjon at head coach, not head coach, but Padjon as a coach, and Architect and QOQ. Now, we go back to the history of this, and in week 20 we did see this new Hangzhou Spark, or slightly new looking Hangzhou Spark, taken on the New York Excelsior, and it was a close match, but it was a 3-2 for the Spark. So there is definitely scope for a New York Excelsior choke here that a lot of people like to allude to, where New York don't get a map win in this tournament because they end up losing in this first round against Hangzhou. It's not to be ruled out. But I also have the caveat of Hangzhou's performances last week, which were not good enough, let's be honest. So this is a very difficult one to call. But something we have to take into account for all of these games is that these teams will be coming in extremely prepared for what the opponent will be able to put out. So it has to be on the opponent to catch them off guard. And I think there's more scope for New York to catch Hangzhou off guard than there is for Hangzhou to catch New York off guard. So I think New York will get a win. But I think it's going to be incredibly close. I think it's going to be a 5-mapper. And going back to Seoul London, actually, that's something else. London are incredibly good at preparing for one opponent in a week. So that could be a benefit to them. But then we have, obviously, the semi-finals. Now, the semi-finals will take place on the Sunday at 9 AM BST and 11 AM BST. The first semi-final will be the number 1 seed, so that's the Shanghai Dragons, taking on whoever wins out of the London Spitfire and the Seoul Dynasty. So there is scope for a rematch of the May Melee final between Shanghai Dragons and Seoul Dynasty, and that, in my opinion, is the most likely outcome. The question is, would the Seoul Dynasty be able to take down the Shanghai Dragons? Well, the regular season says no. The May Melee says no. I think the Shanghai Dragons have got too much quality. They are by far my favourites for this Summer Showdown tournament in APAC. They are the best team in APAC right now. And I don't know who's going to dethrone them at this minute. But there is scope for upsets, obviously. So this is going to be an incredibly close match, probably. Whoever it turns out to be that takes on Shanghai. But I would expect Shanghai to come out on top no matter who they go up against. Put it that way. Then the second semi-final obviously will be between the winner of the Charge versus the Hunters and the winner of the Excelsior versus the Spark. And I went for Excelsior and Charge. So on that is another difficult one. That is another difficult one to call. These could all be really close matches. Difficult. I'd like to see an Excelsior Shanghai final is what I'd like to see, because I want to see this Shanghai Dragons roster go up against this New York Excelsior side with Hacksaw, whether that be Hacksaw in the Brigitte support role or whether that be Hacksaw in the DPS role, because Hacksaw brings a little bit of chaos to New York, a little bit of unpredictability that we've not really seen from New York before, and I wonder whether that will be a thing to catch the Shanghai Dragons out. Also, we haven't seen Shanghai Dragons versus New York since well before the May Melee. So I'm very interested to see whether New York have progressed to a point where they can really take something from the Shanghai Dragons. Because in that match that they went up against the Shanghai Dragons, they should have won it. For some reason, they got mentally boomed and then got reverse swept by the Dragons. So I want to see an Excelsior Dragons final. That's what I want to see. But there is scope to see something different. I still think Dragons are going to be in the final, but we could see Charge, we could see Spark. I would be extremely surprised if we saw Hunters, and if someone knocks out Shanghai in the semi-finals out of London or Seoul, then wow, just wow. I don't see London getting to the final, and I can't see Seoul beating Shanghai. I just can't. There's too much unpredictability in that Seoul squad, inconsistency, and Shanghai Dragons, they're nothing but consistent. That's it. They are a very consistent, very good side with very good quality, and they are right up there in this league with San Francisco Shock at the moment, and we don't know which one of them is going to be better until we see that in the overall playoffs, which aren't that far away when you think about it. But that is APAC. It's going to be very interesting, and I'm interested to see if some of these teams like Hangzhou, like London maybe, step up and really give this a go, because there is a scope for a crazy Summer Showdown in Asia. There really, really is, and I hope we see a ton of close matches, because the standard of Overwatch we've been seeing in APAC has been brilliant, and it's only been going up. So if there's any region you want to watch, it's definitely APAC right now. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.